really super confident. Foreman looks unusually slow with his hands. Look at this now. All of a sudden,
On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected. George Foreman, the legendary former heavyweight champion and cultural icon, passed away today, leaving behind a legacy that spans both the boxing world and popular culture. His death at the age of 76 marked the passing of a figure who embodied both the raw power of athletic dominance and the redemptive arc of reinvention. His death, reportedly peaceful and surrounded by family, stood in stark contrast to the ferocity of his boxing days and the struggles of his youth. Having risen from poverty in segregated Texas, Foreman's life and death reflected the evolving American dream, where second chances and self-made success stories were revered. Foreman's first reign as heavyweight champion was defined by brute force, culminating in his shocking loss to Muhammad Ali in the legendary Rumble in the Jungle. This defeat forced him into a journey of self-discovery, leading to his transformation from an intimidating fighter to a beloved cultural icon. His comeback at age 45 to reclaim the heavyweight title was an unprecedented feat, symbolizing perseverance and resilience, values deeply cherished in American society. His success beyond the ring, particularly with the George Foreman Grill, further cemented his status as a household name, demonstrating that athletic prowess could evolve into entrepreneurial genius. The immediate consequences of his passing were widespread tributes from the sports world, business community, and those inspired by his life story. Houston, the city that nurtured his rise, mourned one of its greatest figures, with leaders highlighting his contributions both as an athlete and a mentor. His death did not necessarily shift the course of history, but it reinforced his legend. Fans and analysts revisited his fights, his business ventures, and his transformation from a fierce competitor to a preacher, philanthropist, and businessman. Foreman's legacy, much like his career, endures through multiple avenues. His boxing triumphs remain immortalized in highlight reels, while his journey from troubled youth to world champion is frequently cited as one of the greatest redemption stories in sports history. The George Foreman Grill, which revolutionized home cooking, ensures his name remains synonymous with innovation. His story has been retold in books, documentaries, and interviews, reinforcing the timeless appeal of resilience and reinvention. His death reminds us of humanity's fascination with comebacks and the power of self-reinvention. We immortalize figures like Foreman not just for their victories, but for their ability to rise from defeat, adapt, and leave an indelible mark on the world. His name will continue to be celebrated in sports history, business case studies, and motivational speeches, ensuring that his impact transcends generations. Rita Gam passed away on March 22, 2016, at the age of 88 due to respiratory failure. Her death, though natural, serves as a reminder of the passage of time and the evolution of Hollywood's golden era. As an actress, author, and documentary filmmaker, she was emblematic of an industry that continually reinvented itself. Gam's passing marked the end of a generation that witnessed the transition from classic Hollywood to modern cinema, reflecting the shifting values of entertainment and fame. Gam's career was notable for its depth and range, spanning film, television, and theater. She first gained recognition in the 1950s, starring in films such as The Thief and Night People. Beyond her on-screen achievements, she was known for her close friendship with Grace Kelly, serving as a bridesmaid at Kelly's wedding to Prince Rainier III of Monaco. Her ties to Hollywood royalty and European aristocracy further solidified her status as a cultural icon. However, like many actresses of her time, Gam had to navigate an industry that often relegated women to supporting roles, valuing beauty over depth of character. The immediate consequences of her passing were felt most deeply within the film and theater communities, where she had left an indelible mark. While not as widely remembered as some of her contemporaries, Gam's legacy remains tied to her contributions to classic cinema and her later work in documentary filmmaking. Her death did not necessarily amplify her legend, but it did serve as an opportunity to revisit her body of work and appreciate her impact on film history. In an era dominated by digital media and franchise-driven filmmaking, Gam's career serves as a reminder of a time when cinema was more experimental and character-driven. The death of figures like Gam highlights humanity's ongoing relationship with mortality, fame, and memory. While some stars achieve everlasting fame, others fade into cultural nostalgia, only to be rediscovered by cinephiles and historians. Gam's contributions, though not always in the mainstream spotlight, demonstrate how art preserves the essence of an individual long after they are gone. Her legacy is immortalized through film archives, retrospectives, and the personal memories of those who admired her work. As the entertainment industry continues to evolve, figures like Gam remind us of the rich history that paved the way for contemporary storytelling. In reflecting on Rita Gam's passing, we recognize the transient nature of fame, but also the power of film and literature to grant a form of immortality. Her work continues to be appreciated by those who seek to understand the nuanced history of Hollywood and the artists who shaped it. Wynn, an actress and singer best known for her role in the Caine Mutiny, passed away on March 26, 2021, at the age of 93. Her death was attributed to natural causes, marking the end of a life that intertwined Hollywood glamour with personal reinvention. Wynn's career flourished during the golden age of Hollywood, a time when the film industry was evolving rapidly, with studios controlling actors' images and careers. She initially entered show business under her birth name, Donna Lee Hickey, but changed it to May Wynn after playing a character of the same name in the Caine Mutiny. This transformation exemplified the era's tendency to mold stars into marketable personas, demonstrating how identity in Hollywood was often shaped by external forces. Though the Caine Mutiny remains her most famous film, Wynn appeared in several other productions and television series throughout the 1950s and early 1960s. However, like many actresses of her time, she struggled to maintain her career in an industry that often prioritized youth and novelty. As Hollywood transitioned into the more experimental and rebellious 1960s and 1970s, the rigid studio system that had initially propelled her career faded, making it difficult for actresses from the prior generation to adapt. The immediate consequences of her passing were largely quiet, as she had long been retired from the entertainment industry. However, for classic film enthusiasts, her death was a reminder of an era when Hollywood stars were carefully crafted by studios, and actors often had to reinvent themselves to stay relevant. Her role in the Caine Mutiny, a film that remains a cultural touchstone, ensured that she would always be remembered in cinematic history. Wynn's passing also speaks to the way Hollywood preserves and forgets its stars. While she did not achieve the lasting superstardom of some of her contemporaries, her contributions to film endure through archival footage, retrospectives, and discussions about classic cinema. She is immortalized through her work, proving that even actors who spend only a brief time in the spotlight can leave an imprint on cultural memory. Her story reflects the transient nature of fame, yet also the enduring power of cinema to preserve a moment in time, allowing audiences to rediscover and appreciate her talent for generations to come. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, one of the most revered literary figures of the 18th and 19th centuries, passed away on March 22, 1832, at the age of 82. His death was natural, attributed to heart failure and a general decline in health. Goethe's final moments were spent in his home in Weimar, surrounded by an air of quiet contemplation. According to accounts, his last words, "mehr Licht," more light, have been interpreted in both literal and metaphorical ways, reflecting his lifelong pursuit of knowledge and enlightenment. Goethe's passing marked the end of an era. As a towering figure of German literature, his works had shaped the Sturm und Drang movement, and later the ideals of Weimar classicism. His death came at a time when Europe was undergoing profound social and political transformations. The Romantic movement, which Goethe had both influenced and distanced himself from, was flourishing, and the continent was still feeling the aftershocks of the Napoleonic Wars. The immediate reaction to his death was one of national mourning, particularly in Germany, where he had long been celebrated as a cultural icon. His passing cemented his legacy, prompting renewed interest in his works, especially Faust, his magnum opus that explored themes of ambition, knowledge, and human limitation. Goethe's death also signified a shift in literary thought as the Romantic era gained dominance, moving further away from the structured ideals of Weimar classicism that he had championed. Goethe's legacy was amplified in the years following his death. His works were studied, adapted, and revered across generations, influencing writers, philosophers, and artists worldwide. His home in Weimar became a site of pilgrimage, and statues, commemorative coins, and museums were dedicated to him. More than just a writer, he was immortalized as a symbol of intellectual curiosity and artistic brilliance. His death invites reflection on humanity's relationship with mortality and intellectual legacy. Like many great figures, his final moments became part of the mythology surrounding him, reinforcing the notion that great minds continue to illuminate the world even in death. Through literature, philosophy, and artistic tribute, Goethe remains a guiding light, perhaps even fulfilling his own plea for more light in the ever-evolving pursuit of knowledge and truth. Jade Goody, a British reality television star, passed away on March 22, 2009, at the age of 27 after a widely publicized battle with cervical cancer. Her death was natural but deeply tragic, as it came at a time when she had transformed from a controversial tabloid figure into a symbol of public awareness about health and disease prevention. Diagnosed in 2008 while appearing on the Indian version of Big Brother, her illness became a media sensation, capturing public attention not only because of her fame, but also because of the raw honesty with which she faced her mortality. Goody's rise to fame had been unconventional. As a contestant on Big Brother UK in 2002, she became known for her brash personality and lack of general knowledge, earning both ridicule and affection from the public. Her later career was marred by controversy, particularly her involvement in a racially charged incident on Celebrity Big Brother in 2007. However, her diagnosis and subsequent openness about her condition shifted public perception dramatically. Her decision to document her battle with cancer through interviews and television appearances was both criticized and admired. Some saw it as an exploitation of personal tragedy, while others recognized it as a powerful force for good, raising awareness about cervical cancer screenings. The immediate consequences of her death were significant. Following her passing, there was a dramatic increase in the number of young women seeking cervical cancer screenings, a phenomenon dubbed the Jade Goody effect. Her story sparked discussions about the importance of early detection, the impact of socioeconomic background on health education, and the role of media in shaping public health narratives. In the years since, Goody's legacy has been complex but enduring. While her name remains associated with reality television's excesses, it is also linked to a broader cultural shift in health awareness. Her story has been revisited in documentaries, books, and retrospectives that highlight both the fleeting nature of fame and the power of personal transformation. Her death serves as a reminder of the intersection between celebrity and mortality. In a world where fame is often fleeting, Goody's decision to use her final months to advocate for cancer awareness ensured that her impact extended far beyond the reality TV stage. She remains a poignant example of how, even in the face of death, individuals can leave a legacy that shapes public consciousness and saves lives. Julie Felix, the American-born folk singer who became a beloved figure in the British music scene, passed away on March 22, 2020, at the age of 81. Her death was natural, the result of health complications that had been affecting her in her later years. While not as widely publicized as the deaths of some of her contemporaries, her passing marked the end of a musical era that championed social justice, political activism, and a deep connection to folk traditions. Felix rose to prominence in the 1960s, a time of great cultural and political upheaval. As a folk singer, she was deeply influenced by the protest movements of the era, using her music to advocate for peace, civil rights, and environmental causes. She became a fixture of the British folk revival, earning a reputation as Britain's First Lady of Folk, and hosting her own television show, The Julie Felix Show, where she introduced audiences to emerging talent, including a young Leonard Cohen. Her music carried the spirit of the times, resonating with those who sought change through art and activism. The immediate reaction to her passing was one of quiet reverence, with tributes from fellow musicians and longtime fans reflecting on her contributions to the folk movement. While she may not have had the mainstream commercial success of some of her peers, her influence on the folk scene and her role in shaping Britain's countercultural landscape were undeniable. Her death served as a reminder of the power of music to inspire and mobilize, particularly during periods of political and social struggle. In the years since, Felix's legacy has been preserved through recordings, retrospectives, and tributes from artists who cite her as an influence. Her music, much like the folk tradition itself, remains relevant in times of protest and change, carrying messages that transcend generations. Her passing invites reflection on the enduring role of artists as voices of their time. Figures like Felix, who dedicate their lives to blending art with activism, often find their legacy amplified in moments of societal reflection. Through her music and the causes she championed, she continues to inspire, proving that art not only entertains, but also serves as a vehicle for progress, remembrance, and hope. Patrice Wymore, the American actress and widow of Hollywood legend Errol Flynn, passed away on March 22, 2014 at the age of 87. Her death was natural, attributed to pulmonary disease, and she spent her final years in seclusion on her beloved cattle ranch in Jamaica. While she had long stepped away from the spotlight, her passing marked the end of a direct link to Hollywood's golden age and one of its most charismatic figures. Wymore rose to fame in the early 1950s, starring in musicals and romantic comedies. However, it was her marriage to Errol Flynn that cemented her place in Hollywood lore. Their relationship, marked by a significant age difference and Flynn's infamous lifestyle of excess, was often scrutinized by the public and the press. When Flynn died in 1959 at the age of 50, Wymore largely retreated from acting, choosing instead to focus on managing his estate and building a life away from Hollywood's glare. Her choice to settle in Jamaica, where she and Flynn had spent time together, reflected a departure from the industry's relentless demands and a preference for a quieter, more private existence. The immediate reaction to her death was relatively subdued, with tributes coming from fans of classic cinema and those who remembered her as part of Flynn's enduring legend. While Wymore was not as famous as some of her contemporaries, her passing signified the loss of another thread connecting modern audiences to Hollywood's past. More than just an actress, she had become a custodian of Flynn's legacy, ensuring that his memory endured through film retrospectives and personal recollections. In the years following her death, Wymore's name remains tied to Flynn's, yet her own story as a talented actress and independent woman who chose a life outside Hollywood's pressures is increasingly recognized. Her retreat to Jamaica, her passion for nature, and her resilience in the face of public scrutiny add depth to her legacy. Her passing invites reflection on how figures from the golden age of Hollywood are remembered. While many stars are immortalized through their film roles, Wymore's story also speaks to the human side of fame, the choices made in its aftermath, and the quiet dignity of a life lived on one's own terms. Through her films, interviews, and the enduring fascination with Hollywood's past, she remains a figure of grace, strength, and enduring nostalgia. Gloria Holden, the actress best known for her role as the mysterious and tragic Countess Maria Zaleska in Dracula's Daughter, passed away on March 22, 1991, at the age of 87. Her death was natural, the result of age-related health complications, and was largely unnoticed by the public, reflecting the quiet and reserved life she led in her later years. Unlike many of her contemporaries from Hollywood's golden age, Holden never sought the spotlight beyond her acting career, preferring a life away from the industry's relentless demands. Holden's legacy is most strongly tied to her role in Dracula's Daughter, a film that, while not as commercially successful as Dracula, has since gained recognition as an influential entry in the horror genre. The film was groundbreaking for its eerie atmosphere and its subtext of forbidden desire, themes that resonated with audiences even decades later. Despite this, Holden herself reportedly resented the role, fearing that it would typecast her in horror films and limit her career opportunities. This struggle between artistic identity and Hollywood's rigid expectations was a common challenge for actors of her era, many of whom found themselves defined by a single iconic role. The immediate reaction to Holden's passing was relatively quiet, as she had long since faded from public view. However, her death marked another loss from a bygone era of filmmaking, one that valued Gothic horror, atmospheric storytelling, and performances that carried emotional depth even in genre films. Over time, Dracula's Daughter has been reassessed by film historians and horror enthusiasts, with Holden's performance being praised for its sophistication and melancholy. This renewed appreciation has only amplified her legend, as modern audiences recognize her work's significance in shaping the portrayal of female vampires in cinema. Holden's passing highlights the fleeting nature of Hollywood fame and the ways in which actors are remembered. While she never became a household name, her role in a single film cemented her place in cinematic history, proving that even brief moments on screen can leave a lasting impact. Through film retrospectives, academic discussions, and the enduring influence of Dracula's Daughter on Gothic horror, Gloria Holden remains immortal, not just as an actress but as a symbol of Hollywood's ability to create lasting mythologies that transcend generations. Scott Walker, the enigmatic singer-songwriter known for his haunting baritone voice and ever-evolving artistic vision, passed away on March 22, 2019, at the age of 76. His death was attributed to cancer, a natural but somber end to a life spent redefining the boundaries of popular music. Unlike many musicians of his era, Walker was not one for nostalgia or mainstream recognition. His passing was marked by quiet reverence rather than a media frenzy, reflecting both his elusive nature and his cult-like status among musicians and devoted fans. Walker first rose to fame in the 1960s as a member of the Walker Brothers, a group that enjoyed massive success in the UK with lush, orchestral pop ballads like Make It Easy on Yourself and The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore. At the height of their fame, he walked away from the traditional pop scene, retreating into a solo career that grew increasingly avant-garde. His early solo albums blended Jacques Brel-inspired chanson with orchestral grandeur, But by the late 1970s, he had nearly vanished from the music world. When he resurfaced, his work had taken on a stark, experimental nature, culminating in albums like Tilt and The Drift, which challenged conventional song structures and delved into unsettling, existential themes. The immediate aftermath of Walker's death was a flood of tributes from artists spanning multiple genres. David Bowie had long cited him as an influence, and bands like Radiohead Pulp acknowledged his impact. While he had never sought commercial success, his passing solidified his reputation as a visionary whose artistry remained uncompromised. His death did not shift the course of mainstream music, but it reinforced his legacy as a musician's musician, an artist whose work would continue to inspire future generations willing to push creative boundaries. Walker's passing invites reflection on how we remember artists who defy categorization. Unlike stars who court fame, his influence grew in the shadows, proving that artistic longevity is not always tied to commercial success. He is immortalized not through chart-topping hits, but through the work of those he inspired, the avant-garde albums he left behind, and the ongoing re-evaluation of his career by those who seek music that dares to be different. In an industry that often rewards familiarity, Walker's legacy is a testament to the power of reinvention, mystery, and uncompromising artistic vision. Joan Shawley, a talented American actress best known for her roles in Hollywood during the 1950s and 1960s, passed away in 1987. Her death was natural, attributed to cancer, which is a stark contrast to the more dramatic or politically charged deaths of some of her contemporaries. However, Shawley's passing still reflects the era's changing cultural landscape. Shawley's death occurred at a time when Hollywood was undergoing significant transformations. The golden age of cinema was fading, and the rise of new, more experimental filmmakers was reshaping the industry. Her passing marked the end of an era for those who had made their mark during the 1950s. While she was not a household name like Marilyn Monroe or Audrey Hepburn, Shawley had earned a place in Hollywood's heart for her comedic roles and her ability to bring warmth and humor to the screen. The immediate consequences of her death were felt primarily within the circles of her fellow actors and filmmakers, rather than on a grand political or historical scale. Shawley's work in supporting roles had solidified her as a beloved figure in film, and her passing served as a reminder of the fleeting nature of fame in the entertainment world. However, it also prompted a reflection on the impact of Hollywood's mid-20th century stars, many of whom had worked tirelessly to bring entertainment and escapism to audiences in a time of post-war recovery. Shawley's death did not significantly alter the course of history, but it highlighted the shift from the classic Hollywood system to the more modern and diversified entertainment landscape that was taking shape by the 1980s. Her legacy lives on through the roles she played, often portraying the quirky, lovable side characters that audiences found endearing. The way we immortalize figures like Shawley speaks to humanity's relationship with mortality and memory. While her death may not have been marked by political turmoil or immediate societal upheaval, it serves as a reminder of how we remember and honor those who shaped the cultural fabric of their times. In art, literature, and film, we commemorate such figures, ensuring that even those whose fame was more modest continue to be celebrated for their contributions to the world. Charles Starrett, an American actor known for his roles in B-movie westerns during the 1930s and 1940s, died in 1986 of natural causes at the age of 89. His death was quiet and relatively uneventful, occurring in a period when Hollywood was undergoing rapid transformation, and the kind of films that had made Starrett famous, low-budget westerns and serials, were fading from popularity. Starrett's passing reflected the broader cultural and cinematic shifts of the mid-20th century. By the time of his death, the golden era of Western films was long gone, replaced by new genres and evolving tastes in American cinema. The public's fascination with the traditional Western hero was waning as the nation began to reflect more critically on its history and identity, particularly in light of the social upheavals of the 1960s and 1970s. The immediate consequences of his death were not marked by widespread public mourning or media frenzy, unlike the sudden or violent deaths of other stars such as James Dean or Marilyn Monroe. Starrett's death was more of a quiet passing, noted mostly by fans of his genre and those in the film industry who had worked alongside him. His death did not shift the trajectory of history, but it did mark the closing of a chapter in Hollywood's history. Starrett had been one of the iconic figures in the Western genre, particularly known for his portrayal of the Durango Kid in a series of films, and his passing signaled the end of an era for this type of film. Though his death did not amplify his legend in the immediate aftermath, his legacy continues through his extensive filmography, which remains a staple for fans of vintage westerns. In many ways, Starrett's death offers insight into how society views the passing of cultural figures, especially those whose contributions may have been overshadowed by larger historical movements. He is immortalized through art, literature, and film, where his roles as the tough, virtuous hero of the American frontier are still fondly remembered. Ultimately, Starrett's death highlights the transient nature of fame and how certain figures are remembered or forgotten by history. It also underscores humanity's tendency to commemorate individuals in ways that reflect our ongoing relationship with mortality, power, and memory, preserving their legacy through the films and stories that continue to resonate with new generations.